I am reading on the boards about people having fatigue and some other symptoms that are disturbing and hard for them. It's neurological type stuff. I want to tell you about my experience and what I have found that works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. I'm not trained medically, but I do read a lot, and I have family members that are doctors, and my mom was a nurse, and our aunt, she had her master's. I began having, when I was 4 years old, I had a reaction to my immunizations. I had a very severe reaction. They repeated them, and I had an even more severe reaction to them. And now that I'm reading about vaccination injuries, I'm shocked to read that they do cause Crohn's or gut issues. So I've had gut issues my entire life, and I was diagnosed with Crohn's about 20 years ago. I had stomach aches as a child, and I had a lot of energy, but I was going through a lot of emotional stuff because I come from a very abusive family background. So I'll fast forward. I had an arteriovenous malformation about the size of a large golf ball, smaller, soft, anyway. It was bleeding in my intestines, upper intestines. It was found by accident during a bowel resection for my Crohn's disease, and the doctor said, that's not where she's bleeding. So he went searching, and he found the baseball-sized arteriovenous malformation that bled for 2.5 years. So I had over 50 blood transfusions. About every other weekend I had to be in the hospital, stay for 48 hours, and have some blood transfusions. That was a nightmare. So finally, when the AVM and the Crohn's surgeries were over, I was encouraged, thinking, wow, finally I'm going to get better after 3 years of being almost bedridden. But no, it became worse. Max wants to be in the picture. Max, I got so fatigued I couldn't even take a bath without help. I wouldn't shampoo my hair. I remember the gal that came over and helped when my husband, he works from home, but he was busy, so he had to pay somebody to come in and watch me. And I remember crying in the shower. I was so fatigued, I just wanted to go to bed. I didn't care if I had shampoo in my hair. And I had neuropathy from head to toe. I had muscle twitching, muscle weakness, I had burning mouth, burning lips, dizziness like you would not believe. I couldn't even stand up sometimes, and it would just hit me all of a sudden. And sometimes it would be good, sometimes not. Well, a friend sent me some stuff called Enterprime. It's Hawaiian spirulina. It's kind of like spinach, but it's kind of like a seaweed. And it contains B12. And it contained the type of B12 that my body could absorb and convert into methyl B12. That's what your body uses. But it was very expensive, and then something happened and I no longer got it. It was like $100 a week. And I got discouraged, and I still had neuropathy and some other symptoms. I went to go up to OHSU. I was seen by the head neurologist because they thought maybe I might have Lou Gehrig's disease. I was being tested for that. I was going to live with Lou Gehrig's disease. I planned on my own demise. I wasn't going to die that way. That's got to be the most horrible thing. But the initial diagnosis was MS. But they did an EMG, a nerve conduction study test. That's where they put needles into your muscle groups, and then they shock them. It's torture. It's a 4-hour test. And I couldn't handle that, but I had to have it. And the next thing I needed was the muscle biopsy. That's where they take 1 inch of muscle from your thigh. You have to have the EMG and nerve conduction test. That's electromyogram and nerve conduction test first before you have the muscle, the biopsy. And it's quite painful. And they take 1 inch of muscle, and that will determine whether you have Lou Gehrig's or not. So I was very ill, 100% bedridden, I would cry. My prayer every night was, Lord, heal me or kill me. And I meant it. I wanted to die. I would wake up the next morning and I was still alive. And I was so angry. I said, God, why didn't you kill me? Then they knew something was wrong. I saw 4 different neurologists. They all had a different take. They knew I wasn't faking. They could see my muscles twitching and just moving like that. It was just bizarre. I have videos of that. I have all this on record and I'm willing to share this. I'm going to order my records. So I had made an appointment with Mayo Clinic to go in mid-October. And at the end of August, my husband won a prize and he got a laptop. And he gave me that laptop so I could do some research from my bed. And I was so fatigued I wouldn't even change the channel on the remote because I was that tired. And you cannot understand how fatigued you are when that. But this was after my surgery for Crohn's. And I said, ask the doctors. I asked every neurologist, could this be a vitamin or mineral deficiency? They said, no, your numbers are normal. My B12 number was 232. According to US lab standards, that's normal. 200 is the bottom line. But Japan and UK say their numbers are 600 and above. And anything below that could prove potentially life-altering, changing death. I had that chin to, it's lemurs, I forget what it, anywhere where you put your chin into chest and you have these shocks that go down your spine. I do have some spinal cord damage from being B12 deficient, even though I tested normal, and US lab standards are wrong. I'm trying to get them to change them to where they're 600 above. If you look on your index finger, it's not a gold standard, but it's a good idea. If you are missing the white moon, see the white moon I have in my thumb? You should have one in your index finger, your pointy finger. If you're missing that moon, that means you are seriously B12 deficient. I've checked so many thumbs. Now you go do that as well. If you're missing a moon in your thumb, I promise you, you're B12 deficient. So I kept logging on to different websites, and I finally found, I wanted to know what caused peripheral neuropathy when I'm not diabetic. And after bowel surgery, I had half of my intestines removed because they were diseased, and also from the arteriovenous malformation. They took, 2 feet of that. So I found this website called Brain Talk Communities, and I posted my story in the peripheral neuropathy forum, and a kind person answered me. Rose and Mrs. Doubtfire wrote back to me. These are medically trained people, but they don't give medical advice because it's against the law to advise over the internet. But they suggested I might try taking methylcobalamin, methyl B12. And they explained to me that when you take B12s, it's cyanocobalamin. Go look on your vitamin bottle. It'll say cyanocobalamin, B12. Your body, there's only 2 places that your body can absorb. That's under your tongue or in a certain section in your small intestine where your appendix is. And we believe that that's what the appendix used to do, because every animal makes its own B12 except for the human. And B12 is an animal product. You get it from eggs, animal product. Vegetarians, people who are strict vegans, are susceptible to being B12 deficient. So I told my husband, I says, I gotta find some methyl B12. So he went to the local health food store. He bought a bottle of methylcobalamin, methyl B12, 5,000 micrograms, 5,000 mcgs, and I took a half in the morning and a half at night under my tongue. And that was September 2, 2002. We went to our family home on Hood Canal. I rode in the back seat, and when we got there, I climbed into bed and I stayed in bed. I barely got out. I did walk down to the water with my granddaughter, but I stayed in bed. I could see the water. It was 500 feet away, but I didn't want to even engage with family. I was that fatigued. It was a 6-hour drive up there. So 10 days after I started the methyl B12, my housekeeper came over and I just shot out of bed. And she looked at me. I was carrying a load of clothes and I walked down the stairs and I says, oh, she says, my goodness, what changed? I says, I'm taking meth. See, I'm a meth user. Got that deep. I broke a tooth. Anyway, I started taking methyl B12 September 2002. And I kept my appointment with Mayo Clinic. They repeated the EMG test. I was now normal, 100% normal. No fatigue, no muscle twitching. My life totally changed. And you can get it at Nature's Bounty. Costco sells it. It's 300 tablets for $20 of the 5,000 micrograms. You can get it from iherb.com or vitacost.com. It's rather inexpensive. And if you have a doctor giving you shots, run, because that is so antiquated. But believe me, log on to Brain Talk communities, and you'll read in the vitamin deficiency forum. They are discovering, these are Harvard neurologists, they're discovering that they can reverse neuropathies caused from chemo. They have a lot of women that they're doing studies on. They give IV B12, methyl B12, and their peripheral neuropathy is 100% gone. So I want to thank God that my husband got that laptop, and that I found Brain Talk, and that I began taking methyl B12. I no longer have any fatigue, zero fatigue, none. No more muscle twitching, no more dizziness, no more burning mouth. All those neurological symptoms are gone, and I can prove it with an EMG that was repeated October 19, 2002, just 10 weeks after I began the methyl B12. Why would it reverse on its own? Anyway, I think if you try it, just try it for a couple of months. Sometimes your symptoms get worse before they get better. It is so worth it. And it can't harm you. The only way that methyl B12 can harm you is if you fill a bathtub up with it and drown. Anyway, it's worth a try. Thank you.